In our last message, we looked at how we need to first prepare the basic message or theme of the article or book that we want to have published. Now, in this third module, we want to go a step further and learn how to organize our presentation of that message. Any message we want to write needs to become presented in an attractive and logical way. Our writing may contain many interesting or insightful thoughts, but without careful preparations, the whole manuscript can end up a disaster. Can you imagine the result of a builder taking good construction materials and randomly joining them all together? Or a chef taking all the tasty foods out of a refrigerator, throwing them together in a blender, and then cooking up and serving that mess for a customer in his restaurant? Not very appealing. Yes, a writer needs inspiring thoughts and interesting ideas, but without properly organizing them into a coherent message, your writing will become similar to the just mentioned chef's disaster or the builder's fiasco. What we write needs to quickly gain the attention of our potential readers. It needs to be attractive, as our modern society presents us with an avalanche of information that can overload the most inquisitive of readers. How will someone choose to read your book or article above the thousands of other ones that are also calling for their attention? Many readers only judge a book by its cover, or maybe look at the endorsements or the first few paragraphs to see if it catches their imagination. A serious reader may look at the table of contents and read part of a chapter. Yet, since the average reader will quickly evaluate whether your publication is worth their time to read it, you need to quickly get their attention. And after you gain your reader's attention, you must then hold their attention by offering a logical and practical presentation of your topic or theme. That is one reason King Solomon wrote in Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 11 that the words of the scholars are like well-driven nails. While Solomon first mentioned earlier in that verse that our writings need to be like goads that motivate, they also need to be like well-driven nails that secure the truth, that make it stick in the thoughts and mindset of our readers. Just as a house can be built strong through the use of many well-driven nails holding it together, if we secure many truths together in a simple but solid way, we can enable our readers to construct something useful in their life. So, before we start writing something, we need to choose a theme or topic that will be motivational, be like a goad, and practical for the reader. Yet after we have the theme or subject of our projected writing, then we need to start organizing the structure of the manuscript. And this should be done before you actually start writing. You don't need to know all the details before you start, but you do need to know where you're starting, where you're heading towards, and where you aim to finish. Your writing will take your readers on a mental journey, and you need a roadmap or directions for any successful journey. Where do you want to bring your readers to? Are you trying to encourage them towards success in some area of life? Are you sharing a message of hope or wisdom or warning to help them to navigate through the storms of life? To accomplish any of these goals, you need to carefully plan your message and your manuscript. For writing a book, after you know your theme, you might start considering what your chapters will be and their order. Or to prepare it with greater detail, write down an outline of what you want to present in your writing. If you're developing an outline, decide what are the main points and subpoints you should develop in a logical order and in a progressive presentation. If you are writing about a biblical subject, then all of your points need a solid scriptural foundation. Your outline needs to be laid out with solid step-by-step logic for your manuscript to be persuasive and end up emotionally and mentally satisfying. Fuzzy or scattered logic will never keep your reader's attention. A theme or topic that does not develop and move along will soon become boring. Now, once you start to solidly outline or actually write your manuscript, your initial plans for your book or article may develop and progress along somewhat different lines than what you had first anticipated. That's fine. You can always revisit your outline and restructure it as the flow of your thoughts becomes more well developed. Just as a tree, as it grows, will develop more branches, and more branches as it grows higher, your writing will branch out in new ideas as it develops. And just as a tree may grow and somewhat change its direction depending upon the available sunlight, the direction of your writing may shift according to how you receive fresh inspiration or revelation as your message develops. But along with that, be careful to stay rooted in your theme and purpose. Make sure your writing does not become like a very lopsided tree that grows in a very unbalanced way and eventually comes crashing down from its own imbalance. No, don't make that your writing. Wandering off on tangents or overemphasizing pet topics will also turn your readers off and lose their attention. As you write your publication, one section or chapter at a time, constantly evaluate whether it properly includes such ingredients as cohesion, flow, balance, progression, practical application, illustrations, and scriptural foundation. Some of these will be developed in the next parts of this video series, while I have also covered many of these in depth in my homiletics book. You can download a free copy of my homiletics book from the internet at zionph.com. That's 6 letters, Zion, Z-I-O-N-P-H .com, zionph.com. Chapters 5 through 8 show how to construct an effective spoken message, which is very similar to how a writer also needs to develop his thoughts and presentation. When you state information or facts, make sure that you use credible sources to back up what you're saying. The world, and especially the internet, is full of fake news, scams, and rumors. There are internet sites that can help protect you from misinformation, such as Snopes.com. That's capital SNOPES.com. And when you do consider quoting or referring to someone, be aware that your readers will often feel that you are endorsing that person or their message. If you know that their message or their lifestyle are not safe for your readers to follow, either don't mention that person or organization by name, or else make it clear to your reader that you are not endorsing their general teaching or doctrine or lifestyle, or whatever it may be. If you are teaching something through your book or article, it is very important that everything you teach be given practical application. Use lots of illustrations that help explain and demonstrate what you are writing about. Theories interest very few people, but giving relevant and practical help, it will always be in high demand. A good story that helps explain and apply what you're trying to communicate will always be appreciated and enjoyed. If you're teaching something, breaking your message down into simple charts or pictures can also help your reader to easily grasp the concepts you are trying to impart. For example, in chapter 4 of my book titled Anointed Music and Worship, I teach how a song leader can lead people into the presence of God. But in teaching how they can be led into the presence of God, I teach that there are two wrong directions that a song service can go. And so I use a picture of three arrows to illustrate these three directions. Now, did my description of that really help you to fully understand what my book was teaching? I doubt it. But if you read that article, that chapter, and saw the illustration would make it very clear and simple. As another example, to help simplify the message of the 7th chapter of my Hope of the Christian book, I used pictures in the book, wrote them out, and applied it to the message to show how our godly developing Christian character can be like climbing a stairway step by step and like ascending a mountain step by step. Now, throughout all the stories, information, and illustrations that you will use, you need to keep a solid message or theme that brings cohesion, strength, and impact to your message. I can remember many years ago when a minister asked me for help with the first book they were trying to write. I could see that the manuscript contained many good concepts, interesting stories, but some of the stories seemed disconnected from the rest, and other stories were way too detailed, and the whole manuscript seemed to lack clear direction. Yet I saw that one idea mentioned several times could become a good, strong central theme. And by having the writer reorganize the flow and focus of the manuscript around that theme, and being careful to keep things in balance, a very good book was written. That finished book ran through several printed editions and helped propel the author to a national and then an international ministry. So be aware of these important pointers and guidelines that you need to focus on in preparing a good book or article. They can give you a solid framework on which to build a successful manuscript, just as a skeleton gives structure, order, and movement for a person so that they can function properly. Study these concepts and ideas. Start to put them into practice, and then go on to consider the further steps that will be discussed in our next videos. Thank you, and God bless you.